One of the things that I want to do is stop using the words design thinking like they're a proper noun. If you don't mind, I'm going to say a few sentences about what design thinking is from a different perspective. Basically, if we recognize that everything around us is designed, and we recognize simultaneously that we have problems, it's important to understand that then we need to design better things. If we realize that, we realize that the skills of a designer, a person who designs things, are really important for us to understand and develop in young people so that they can design better solutions for the future. And so the term design thinking is really just saying, what does it mean to think and act like a designer? And to do that, we have to unpack it. And all those different dimensions of processes they use and mindsets they use is encapsulated in that term design thinking. So when I hear the words design thinking and we're looking for those quick things to write down, I feel like we don't remember the depth of what this is about, which is about being curious about what it means to design the world around us. And thinking and acting like a designer is all about making the world better. The really cool thing, once you realize that design thinking is just thinking and acting like a designer, then we get to think about what does it mean to help people develop those capabilities. So the cool thing for teachers is there's a couple different levels of it, actually. There's helping kids become change makers, helping kids realize that they are designers and they can be designers. And to bring that into the classroom, well, the Design for Change Toolkit is a pretty amazing resource, but it's also really recognizing what a design process is and thinking about how that fits into your curriculum. Because of course, what everybody's teaching is quite different. And the nice thing is we have a simple set of processes. And as kids do those processes again and again, they learn really deep things about themselves. It could be something as simple as design a backpack for your classmate, but it could also be a much bigger question like, how might we redesign the cafeteria? Or it might be, what would you design for a person in history? What would you design to help Gandhi with one of his problems? It could be all types of questions, and this same process can apply. But I do want to say there's also another piece, which is that teachers, especially, are designers. All the time, every day. You're designing curriculum, you're designing your classroom, you're designing interactions with students. And you can get better and better and better at designing all of those things. So that same process that you've seen with Design for Change, you could also use as a teacher to say, how might I better engage my students around learning math? Or how might we as a teaching community collaborate more often in my school? Or how might we involve parents in their child's learning in a deeper way? And these can be design questions that teachers can frame so that they're thinking and acting like a designer as well. There's the methods of design thinking, but there's also the mindsets of design thinking. And that means if you're thinking and acting like a designer, you're not just interviewing other people to understand their lives or brainstorming or prototyping. You're also bringing a certain attitude and value system to those methods. So one of them, which I think is very rare in schools everywhere in the world, is being collaborative. It is really hard to come up with new ideas if you're only talking to yourself. So how do you collaborate with students, for instance, to ask a bigger question, or other teachers in your community? I think the way schools are designed, it's really hard to collaborate because it's hard to find the time, it's hard to find the priority, but better ideas come from working together. So the first I would say is collaborate. The second skill I would say that's really important is I'm going to merge two because they're both important and they're related, which is empathy and curiosity. Empathy is really about caring about other people's experiences and I don't think you can have empathy unless you're curious. And I find we work a ton with teachers. I love teachers. I'm so committed to helping teachers really find their inner designer. But I do find that teachers say things like, I work with kids all the time, of course I care about them. But inquiring into their lives and the needs and the experiences they have is very different than caring about them. It's actually investigating their lives and what motivates them so that you can be better designers. And that ideally is an endless pursuit of kind of a joyful curiosity about what motivates the people that you're working with, or the students in your class. So that second skill I kind of see as one, empathy and curiosity. And the third I'll just offer is the thing I think is most rare in education, which is actually optimism. I think that the field of education is so hard, and the students and all their demands and their families and all their demands, and man, the load of it is really heavy. And I think because of that, it's actually really hard to constantly believe that a better future is possible, because we see the hardest times and we see the pain that people are in and we see the struggles they have. And we might have micro moments of joy, but when we have the kind of feeling of the education system, it's very hard to feel optimistic. And you cannot design a better future unless you believe a better future is possible. So optimism is the biggest one. I think this is one of the biggest gaps. Actually, as we did a quick kind of global survey, there are a lot of teachers that use design thinking, but not in a way that it's codified so easily for other teachers to use. So, I mean, I'm such a salesperson for the Design for Change process. So I don't want to repeat something you've already had experience with. But the nice thing about it is when you begin by carving some time for your students to take control of the classroom and go on a design journey, you realize all the barriers about why it's going to be so hard to integrate it. And some of those barriers are like, oh, everybody comes up with something different at the end, so how do I know what's right? Well, right isn't the same anymore when you're in a creative process. Right has a lot to do with the journey of understanding who they're designing for and how well they're meeting those needs. And you know, that's hard in a classroom. So I would say like a great starting point is to find a low barrier way to try something, even if it's after school, and see what it feels like as a teacher to watch that journey and realize, oh man, this is going to be hard to integrate. And then find simple ways. You know, you could, instead of making it at first about the curriculum, you could make it about your own understanding of your students. Go visit their homes, meet their families, look at the games they play, how they communicate with each other, as a way of understanding their lives in a bigger way, and see what that sparks in you about how you might design your classroom for them. So those are two different angles. One is more curricular and one is more about problem solving. I'm so excited you all are committed to design thinking and how to bring it into your classroom. And when it feels overwhelming, when it feels like too much and too vague, just remember it's all about thinking and acting like a designer, and you do that every day already. So how can you continually learn to do that better? And I can't wait to see what you and your kids create.